All right, let's go through activity 2.1.4, calculating force vectors. First question, pretty simple. What's the magnitude of vector A? Well, that's right here. A equals 5 newtons. So we just simply write 5 newtons. Question 2, what is the direction of vector A relative to the negative y-axis? Now this is not the same as question 3, the sense. When it asks direction, your answer should have a degree specified and then clockwise or counterclockwise from the relative axis. So from the negative y-axis, which is right here, we need to say that our vector is 30 degrees counterclockwise from the negative y-axis. Okay. Had it said what's the direction of vector A relative to the positive x-axis, we would have had to do some quick math, found 60, and said that it is 60 degrees clockwise from the positive x-axis. Alright, so depending on what your relative axis is, make sure to specify a degree in a counterclockwise or clockwise direction. And then, question 3, what is the sense of vector A? That is where we just simply say down and to the right. Simple as that. Okay, so question 4, sketch vector A with its x and y components. So we've got some angled vector here that we're going to break into x and y components. I'm just going to simply draw kind of like this dotted. Here's my y component. And there's my x component. So if we drew in our official vector A, what at this point I would refer to as our resultant vector. 30 degrees is our angle. So if we know that the magnitude, or in this case the hypotenuse, the black arrow is magnitude 5, and we know 30 degrees here is our angle, we would look at this as a Pythagorean theorem or trigonometry, because we would know that this is a right triangle here. And we would say that this vector straight down is A in the y direction, and this is A in the x direction. So if we wanted to solve for A in the x direction, well, let's see. Let's do some quick trig here. Sine of 30 is equal to the opposite, which is A in the x direction over the hypotenuse 5. So we use that to answer the question A sub x. To get that by itself, we would take 5 times the sine of 30 degrees. And since that x is positive, again, we're going to the right, so our sense is that it's positive. So A sub x is just 2.5 newtons. Looking at the y component, well, we're going to come over here again quickly and say, well, the cosine of 30 degrees is A sub y over 5. So to get A sub y by itself, we take 5 times cosine of 30 degrees. Now, since our y is down, our sense is down, our y value for this vector, or the y component for this vector, I should say, is going to be negative. And you run your calculator number, and you find it rounds to negative 4.3 newtons. So, sketching the vector with its x and y components, I guess I would probably redraw this. I would label that in the x and y components. And call that good. Box in my answer, circle it, whatever, just so that I can find my final answers quickly. So again, that's number 4. Quickly moving on to number 5. Magnitude, again, magnitude's right here. It's given 5 newtons. What is the direction? Now again, direction, you need your angle in clockwise, counterclockwise. So again, relative to the negative y-axis, like we had in our last problem, here it is. We're still 30 degrees off of that axis, but in this case, we're 30 degrees clockwise. And in this case, the sense is still down. This time it is down and to the right. Wow, or left. Down and to the left. Sorry about that. So, question 7, you're down and to the left of the negative y-axis. Question 8, similar to question 4, which we just answered, says break vector b into its x and y components. So here it is. Here's your y component. Here's your x component. So there's b sub x, b sub y. We draw out the sines and cosines. We find the sine of 30 degrees is our opposite. So if I drew in the resultant here, there we go. And this was our 30-degree mark. I would find that sine of 30 is b sub x over the magnitude. The magnitude was again 5. So over 5. And cosine of 30 is our adjacent side, which is b sub y, again over 5. So, in looking at that, we find b sub y is equal to 5 sine of 30. This time, our x direction is to the left, so we need to make sure and include a negative sign in front of that 2.5 newtons. Oh, I'm not sure why I put an y there. It should be an x. There we go. That looks better. Sorry about that. Yeah, b sub x is corresponding with the sine of 30. So now let's do b sub y down here. And we have 5 times cosine 30 degrees. And we find that to be also pointed down, which is, the sense is negative. So negative 4.3 newtons. So question 8 is answered. And let's call this video good, because I'm going to do 9 through 15 here in a second video. I like to make these videos less than 10 minutes. So I'll just do a second video, 2.1.4 part 2 in just a minute. But we've gotten through question 8. We've broken vectors a and b into their components x and y. And next we will do a application of a picture being hung. So that is it for part 1.